And good day, everyone. Welcome to the Human Resource Development Info Session for the Online Masters and Certificate of Specialization. I am Travis Giffen, the Assistant Director of Online Programs here at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. And I'll be in the chat to help answer questions throughout the event and things like that. So you can always ping me or message me directly and I can help answer those questions that you might have. If you want to ask them privately, or feel free to type them in the chat. But with that said, I'll turn things over to Dr. Huang.
Thank you, Travis. Welcome everybody to the HRD info session. Everybody can hear me okay? Great. So the session will be recorded, so I'll speak very carefully. I'm going to start sharing my PowerPoint first. If you have any questions, as Travis has mentioned, you can type in the chat box, or feel free to just ask questions at the end. The PowerPoint presentation will be relatively short. You see my PowerPoint window?
Showing up great.
Okay, this is for the concentration of human resource development. Acronym we use here is HRD, and the Department of Education Policy, Organization Leadership, College Education, and the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Agenda, very quickly, introduction of HRD faculty and the concentration. And I will dive into degree programs, non-degree programs we offer in HRD. I'm going to cover a little bit more than just EDM, for those of you who are interested in what else we are going to offer. And any time we have left, we can do Q&A if you have any questions. Faculty-wise, currently we have 5 faculty members on the roster. First one is Dr. James Gallagher, Assistant Teaching Professor, who is now the Vice Chancellor of HR at the University of Pittsburgh. He will teach courses with us. He also is the alum of our PhD program. Second person will be me. I'm the professor of HRD. I'm also the coordinator of all the online degree and non-degree seeking program on behalf of the HRD faculty. I also serve the role as the co-director of the graduate studies in the department. Third individual is Dr. Ronald Jacobs, who is a professor in HRD. Fourth person is Dr. Jessica Lee, a professor of HRD, who also serves as the Associate Dean of Research in the College of Education. And then we have Professor Grace O, who's the Associate Professor of HRD. So that's the faculty members in HRD. Our expertise cover all major pillars of human resource development. There are 4 areas, if you are not aware or if you're not familiar with the field. First area is the training and development. Second area is the organization development / change management. Third area is the career development. We folded that into the topics related to adult and professional education. The fourth area is learning technologies. I think it's relevant to what we are used to in this day and age. So those 4 pillars of HRD scholarship, as well as practices, and we see across organization, workplaces, domestically in the United States, as well as internationally across different countries. Not sure if you're familiar with the faculty members' roles in HRD in UIUC. So since UIUC is Research Tier 1 university recognized by our peers, So the faculty members here will conduct research based on our interest and expertise. In addition to that, we teach courses into our degree and non-degree seeking programs. So if you're interested in what research areas our faculty are working with, please feel free to visit our websites online. So I'm not going to read the entire slide. Basically, HRD, as I mentioned earlier, have multiple areas of focus when it comes to practice and research/scholarship. The way I see HRD will be you can put it in a triangle. The first point of the triangle will be people, will be individual employees. The second point of the triangle will be the work, the task, the jobs, or the performance intended for individuals to carry out. The third point of the triangle is organizations/workplaces, a bigger context. So HRD basically, in terms of practice, in terms of scholarship, will focus on the interactions among all these 3 points. For instance, we would like to look into the alignment between people and work. That falls into the area of the training and development. How can we better develop our people so they can be better on their job? We look at the interaction between work and organizations in terms of organization development. How can we design our organizations, our scaffolds in the organizations, so the work that needs to be carried out can be improved? And we can also look into the third area in terms of people and organizations, broadly defined. That will fall into the area of career development, a long-term perspective of developing people as the essential part of any workplace, any organization, and so forth. So that's basically the areas of HRD we will focus on in terms of our coursework. Also, our faculty's research would cover many subtopics within those areas. This is, you can find the same information from our website. I will start with our Master of Education program. It's a degree program. So just to pause a little bit, students in the Department of EPOL will have the EPOL major in terms of on the transcript once they graduate. And the concentration will be in HRD in this case. And within the concentration of HRD, we will offer multiple degree programs, degree seeking programs, and start with the EDM. The focus of the EDM online, also on campus. The coursework is the same in terms of the credit hour requirement and also the selection of the courses. There is no thesis requirement for the EDM. Once students finish all 32 credit hours of coursework, which is usually can be divided into 8 courses. We have the 4 credit hour per course system in our department, also in the college. So once students are done with the coursework with acceptable grades, and they can receive the Master of Education degree. I want to stop here for a while. Any questions or comments that I can address? Okay, I'm gonna move on. We also offer Doctor of Education program online. As you can see, the credit hours is 64. It's twice of the EDM. all the course will be online. For this program, students will have to complete at least 64 credit hours of coursework according to the plan of study recognized by the faculty. Students also need to complete multiple milestones. At this point, students will have to pass 2 qualifying exams at doctoral level, the preliminary exam, and also the final examination. Basically, students will have to pass the dissertation proposal defense and the final dissertation defense. So those are 4 milestones in addition to the coursework. The purpose of the EDD is to develop scholar practitioners, in addition to the EDM, which is very practitioner focused. We also have the PhD program that is entirely on campus, just for your reference. The credit hours is 64 credit hours minimum. Multiple milestones, since the program intends to develop the next generation of scholars. The graduates of PhD program in HRD will go into faculty positions, conducting research, teaching, and so forth, or senior positions in organizations. So we offer 3 degree-seeking programs. I'm gonna recap all 3 of them very quickly. EDM, online or on campus, 32 credit hours, no thesis. EDD, Doctor of Education, 64 credit hours, online or on campus if you wish to come here in person. 64 credit hours plus multiple milestones. PhD is on campus only, 64 credit hours plus multiple milestones. And those are the degree-seeking programs HRD offers at this point. Our non-degree seeking programs has 3 categories. First one is the Certificate of Specialization in HRD, online or on campus. 12 credit hours equals to 3 courses. And students who complete the COS, Certificate of Specialization, can transfer up to 12 credit hours to degree-seeking programs mentioned earlier upon receiving admissions. So if students who complete the COS first as a non-degree seeking student, and later the student was admitted to the degree-seeking program, and the student can submit a request to transfer all these credit hours to be part of the degree-seeking program credit hours. Some students have done that in terms of taking non-degree seeking programs to test the water, to get to know the faculty a little bit better, and decide whether or not the students would be interested in applying for admissions to our degree-seeking programs. The second bullet point is the Master Track Certificate in Instructional Design. It's MTC in Instructional Design. It's a joint program with Coursera. This program offers a 2-course sequence. First course is on instructional system design. The second course is on learning technologies. All the courses right now are taught by HRD faculty or our adjunct faculty members who are trained to deliver those courses. Those courses also are online, and students will use the Coursera learning management system. The rate of that program, tuition rate, also is different from our regular or different from the other 2 non-degree seeking program. The third one is the campus graduate certificate in instructional system design, management, and leadership. This one has been approved by all the gatekeepers. We're planning to launch the program in the fall of 2022, which will be this coming August. This program has 4 courses, all online. Students actually would be eligible for financial aid if choosing to do so. And student again can transfer all the credits to degree seeking programs upon admission. Those are all the degree seeking and non-degree seeking programs the concentration of HRD offers. Questions or comments?
I had a question about the EDD program online. I completed a previous PhD. We had qualifying exams that were in person. They were over a 10-hour format. I was wondering what the online format is, and is it with notes and everything, or does it all have to be off the top of your head?
I went through the same PhD process as well, with closed book and 10 hours, no internet kind of process. The online EDD qualifying exams with a general field and specialized field, 2 qualifying exams. All exams are open book. You take it from home, of course. At least students will have a week to complete the exam response. And the exam response will be reviewed by HRD faculty members or faculty members who are appropriate to assess the qualification of students within those topic areas. So those are take-home exams. And you do it from home, or since this is online for the EDD, we are not bringing students on campus for those exams. The same thing, the same process applies to the dissertation process as well. As you might be familiar with the prelim exam and also the final exam. They will be online.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have some additional slides in terms of our course structure. Our online courses are 8+8 in a 16-week semester format. This has been tested for many years. HRD started our fully online degree program almost 25 years ago. We're pretty sure we are one of the first online degree programs, not only in the United States, but around the world. So this has been tested with many input from students. So 8+8 students are able to complete 2 courses online back to back. I think the most important part of this design is students don't have to deal with multiple coursework in the same time, unless students are taking more than 2 courses per semester, which as an advisor, I don't recommend, at least in the first semester or first 2 semesters of the program. So we have the term A and term B. Each term is 8 weeks. Classes will have weekly synchronous sessions that students get to interact with the professors and peer learners. But different courses taught by different instructors will have different schedule. For instance, from Monday through Friday to accommodate working hours of most of our students in the United States across time zones. These synchronous sessions will be usually scheduled from 6:00 p.m. Central Time for 2 weeks, for 2 hours, and one synchronous meeting per week. Again, that design also has been tested with input from students and faculty. Usually those synchronous sessions are highly recommended by faculty for students to participate. Given the ongoing pandemic, we also realized the importance of recording all those sessions, and now we're using Zoom, which is very easy to do. Financial aid eligibility for full-time, quote-unquote, online students enrolled in the fully online degree program per the campus policy is 6 credit hours. However, if students are in the on-campus program, the full-time qualification will, the credit hours will go up to 12. So that's the current policy when it comes to financial aid. This is the handbook of our current policies regarding all our degree programs within the college education. I'll share this PowerPoint with Travis. If you're interested in visiting all these links, please feel free to do so. Now it's time for Q&A. Thank you. I'm gonna stop sharing my PowerPoint. Any questions that I can answer tonight?
Yeah, so we've gotten a couple in the chat here, David, that I can read off. So I didn't know the exact question for this, but from my understanding, the structure of the program and way the offerings are is similar to the IMBA and IMSA with GEIS. Do you know anything more about how they structure theirs and how the programs compare?
My understanding with the IMBA, IMSA is somewhat limited since both programs are from the College of Business. So don't take my words for it. My understanding is that the GEIS offering will work with Coursera in terms of the platform. For us, for HRD, we use Canvas as the learning management system. We just switched to Canvas last year. Course structure-wise, I believe GEIS also has the 8+8 design. I think we shared that secret with them many years ago. Otherwise, it really depends on the course credit hours requirement. Each department, each concentration will have different, for instance, how many hours of concentration coursework plus how many hours of elective coursework. That varies from concentration to concentration, program to program, also department to department. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think I do know that they do use Coursera for their platform also, so I can confirm that.
Eric, question in terms of balance between your work and your life and your academic study. I think the 8+8, 2 courses per semester design will help you resolve most of the problems. When I started here many years ago, we had the 10-week model, for instance, and that didn't work because the 16-week semester system, my understanding is that cannot be changed. So if you have 10+10, there is an overlap between those two courses, and students would have some difficulties working with multiple instructors during those overlap time. So the 8+8 is resolving that issue, I think, very effectively. If you're looking for a non-degree or degree seeking, it is important to maintain a decent GPA. Not only would that benefit you if you're interested in applying for admissions to U of I, but also if you're interested in applying for admission from other institutions, GPA usually is what the faculty looks at the first time, at the very beginning of the application. So in order to maintain a decent GPA, I would suggest all students actually cutting out several hours a day. I know if you're working full time, it really depends. 1 hour, I think, is, if feasible, will help. Very focused, planning ahead. Some of the coursework, given the nature of the HRD, as the intervention/solution oriented discipline, if you will, especially as a practitioner, teamwork is relatively common. So you have to have plans ready in terms of working with your peers. Teamwork, I think, teamwork for the coursework will require students to plan ahead. Other than that, since these are all graduate level coursework, the expectation of faculty, I would say, is relatively high when it comes to readings and completing assignments. This kind of expectation is to ensure that our students will be ready once they leave the program. So planning ahead, and you don't have to spend a lot of time every day, but I think that's more important for you to develop a habit, right? You do your coursework a little bit every day. Usually the courses will provide very explicit structure for you to follow. So that's the first thing I will suggest. The second thing is for you to actually, I don't know how easy it will be if you're taking coursework, to stay away from the coursework on weekends, just to take a break from all the work in terms of the academic study. I have seen many students burn out, believe it or not, in online degree program, because first of all, they are taking too much too quickly. Second, which I understand totally, students would like to do well. I can say very proudly, all our students would like always trying to, they are overachievers, and you are overachievers too. So trying to be mindful about that. Burnout is a real thing. But there are processes and policies in place. If students need to take a break from the coursework, they can step out of the program for 1 semester or 2, just to get things in order and come back. Students have done that before the pandemic. And as you can imagine, during the pandemic, students, we receive more requests about that, and they have all been approved and supported by our faculty. So speaking of that, all the students admitted to our degree seeking programs will also have an academic advisor. So you are not only by yourself on this journey. So advisors should help you plan for your coursework. If you are conducting dissertation level research, then the advisor will help you, will guide you through all the major milestones for you to be successful. So we want our students to be successful in the degree program. I think that's very important. So don't feel that you'll be the only one going through the process. You have an advisor. And from the perspective, the department, as the co-director of the graduate studies, and the department is also very supportive of our online students. Planning ahead and take breaks, developing good habits. I think those would be my advices to students trying to juggle multiple responsibilities.
I have a question for you. I put it in the chat, but I'll ask it as well too. I am interested in the EDD program, and I was just wondering if you have any more insights into the application process, like how individuals are picked, how many per semester or quarter or whatever the acceptance rate is, and any advice for those of us that want to apply to get accepted.
Okay. We have large number of applications every year when it comes to online EDD, given the reputation of the institution U of I, as well as the unique mission of the department, EPOL. I don't know if you have looked into the multiple concentrations the department is able to host. The department's mission in general is to give voices to those who are underrepresented, broadly defined across context. We are very fortunate to have students being admitted to the degree programs whose dissertation level work will enable us to advance in that direction of our unique mission. So I think that's a very unique and very important characteristic of the department. So the backdrop, that's the stage, right? That's the backdrop of how EDD applicants would conceptualize, for instance, your statement of purpose. It's very important it is a matching process. I like to see it. Most importantly is your interest, your research interest, because the dissertation level work requires empirical work, meaning that you have to go out there to collect data, to talk to people, to give voices to your study participants who may be otherwise voiceless, right? So that's the big picture of why we conduct research in this area. So what's your research interest? What really can motivate you through 4 years of coursework? That's a long haul. I always would suggest students interested in the doctoral level programs to find that drive. It will change once you start taking courses, once you start reading more on different areas. You might change your research interest, which is fine. That's very normal. But at the point of application, you need to identify that spark. And you need to articulate why that's important to you as a lifelong learner. A lot of our online ID students, they are here to advance their credentials for many reasons. Majority of them will be interested in getting additional educational experience / training so they can contribute more in their workplaces in terms of getting promoted to a higher level to impact more people within the organization. To me, getting a doctorate, whether it's an EDD or a PhD, it's really about getting more responsibility once you receive the degree. Because then you have a training, you have the skills, you know how to collect data, you know how to analyze data, you know how to help others understand data in order to make good decisions, right? So to me, with the advanced degrees means that you need to be ready for additional responsibilities. And a lot of online students in our program, they are able to do that. They get promoted, they shift their career path. So that is also a very interesting part of the planning of the study, if you will, to what's your aspiration once you have this credential? What's your career goal? You can talk about that as well. So the backdrop and your research interest, what drives you? What's your goal once you receive the degree? And two more things I think most students would miss. First is how your research interests will contribute to the mission of the department. So I think those information, as I shared earlier, we are about HRD faculty, for instance, we are trying to improve organizations, workplaces, so individual employees can fully realize their potential, professionally speaking. Right, that's a very abstract description of our goal, but there are many ways you can achieve that in terms of improving training and development, in terms of career development competencies, in terms of improving organizational cultures, employee support, with the backdrop I mentioned earlier, providing scaffolds and opportunities to those who are underrepresented, right? Who might not have opportunities early on in their professional career, but perhaps right now with your research, with your interests, you're able to address those problems. So give you some examples of the EDD dissertation, not PhD, EDD dissertations I'm advising right now. One is about female leaders in workplaces, women leaders in workplaces, how they navigate through pandemic. So that's one. One is about the training and development program in the United States Army when it comes to the need of LGBTQ populations. So I think that's a great example of combining HRD, our expertise, with the mission of the department. So that kind of articulation is important. You have your research interests, you have your goals. How will that contribute to the big picture of the department? One last thing, perhaps the most important thing, they're all important. They're all important. One last thing is when you talk about your research interests, it's a matching process, right? I would strongly suggest everyone who is interested in applying for EDM as well, and also EDD, to look at the faculty members' profiles. As I mentioned earlier, those my colleagues, what they do when it comes to research. Is there any overlap between your interest and one of our faculty members' interests? Ideally, the faculty will identify the applicant's research interests, because once the students are admitted, there needs to be advised by one of my colleagues. So we have had cases where students, the applicants are qualified in terms of GPA, in terms of the credentials, but there is no interest in terms of faculty advising. So unfortunately, then we will have to deny the application. The reason behind it is that, first of all, we want our student to be successful in the program. If the students get admitted and there is very little interest from faculty to advise the students, I don't think that's in the best interest of the students. So we will deny the application because lack of advising faculty interests or capacity. So in the later part of your, or earlier, the purpose of statement purpose, you need to identify at least one faculty members whose work you can relate to based on your research interest. You have to do some homework. So that's how I would advise actually many people in terms of prepping their applications. In terms of GPA, in terms of letters of recommendation, they are all important. the applicants to our online EDD programs, most of the application materials, excuse me, are very well prepared. So that's I think that's not yeah, I think that's the norm. And really, what really stands out would be, in my opinion, the purpose of the statement. I'm sorry, the statement purpose from the applicants. We want to see the alignment. We want to see that, oh, as a faculty group, we can help the students in terms of advising. If students are doing research, their research interests are aligned with what we do when it comes to research, then I think that's a plus. So it's a matching process. Feel free to reach out to our faculty members before applying through emails, introduce yourself, describing your research interests in general. I think that also helps.
And I did post a link to the where you can see all the faculty for the programs and look up their email to reach out to them.
Can I also add one more? Well, so far it's just one. We still have a little bit of time. Our online EDD programs require minimum 64 credit hours. Once students are admitted, we will also encourage them to identify the second concentration. So for instance, when you apply, when students are admitted to HRD, that's their first concentration, right? So you work with the advisor from the HRD concentration in terms of coursework, in terms of completing milestones. 64 credit hours also will give you room to identify a second concentration. For instance, a lot of HRD students in EDD or vice versa, they would take the diversity and equity education as a second concentration. That only requires concentration coursework in diversity education, diversity and equity education only has 12 credit hours. So by completing the DNE, DEI, diversity and equity education concentration coursework, students can then declare 2 concentrations on the transcript. Students, online ED students have found this very, very helpful because sometimes their topics, their dissertation topics require input from multiple perspectives. So HRD plus diversity and equity is very popular one, actually. We also have a lot of diversity and equity students adding HRD as the second concentration. So I will encourage you to look at all the other concentrations. We have 9 in total. Then identify concentrations you might want to work with. Eventually, once you're done with your coursework, when students are in the qualification exam stage, if needed, we will invite faculty from multiple concentrations to review the exam response. The same considerations will be given to the dissertation proposal meeting, the defense, as well as the final dissertation defense. It could be a very multidisciplinary approach throughout your online EDD study. And we actually encourage students to do that.
That is really helpful. Thank you for explaining that.
GSE, Global Study Education, is also a popular one. I have been serving on dissertation committees, global study education online ED students working overseas who would like to move into more HRD related role. in their workplace, and GSC plus HRD is a good combo as well. But it really depends on what you're trying to achieve with the degree program. Any other questions? Feel free to use the mic.
Looks like we did get one other question here in the chat. I didn't know if Kimberly, if you wanted to ask that, or I can ask it for you.
I can ask it. I just wanted to see if you had any tips or advice on picking a research topic. I know earlier you stated that, we should at least consider having one for our statement of purpose. And I was kind of under the impression that we would have to have one at least in the beginning of the dissertation process. But do you have any advice or any examples of what a great research topic is, or what was used in the past that you found, as a really great one?
Wow, that's okay. I will see if I can answer that question. If you're referring to online EDD, dissertation is important as the major deliverable toward the end of the program. You dissertate, right? So you go out there, you collect data, you come back, write out a report, and all the dissertations, if nothing else are specified, all the dissertations will become public documents. I don't know if you know, perhaps Travis can help you. You can search a lot of dissertations advised by HRD faculty through our online library system. So that speaks to the impact of your work. Everywhere, anyone theoretically in the world can locate your dissertation and see what you have accomplished. So that's the context. Ideally, when students apply for the online EDD admission, I would suggest applicants give some thoughts in terms of research area, research interest. Based on what I have seen among admitted students, a lot of those research interests will come from their first-hand experiences in the workplace. So they are very close to what their professional role is, given the research interest, which makes sense because this is not a research only degree program. This is not a PhD. This is an EDD. The goal is to develop practitioners, professionals who have skill sets in terms of conceptualization of the research study and data processing. So I'm referring to ideally speaking, but different people will have different situations. A lot of students will be interested in current students. The outcome of dissertation becomes part of the solution that they can apply professionally. For instance, the Army training study for LGBTQ civilians employees, I believe the students is planning to apply some of that, apply the dissertation study as part of needs assessment and to inform the workplace. So I cannot tell you at this point what are good versus not so good research questions, but I can share with you, if you are trying to search for inspirations, look around in your current professional engagement environment, what really speaks to you. That's usually is the best way for students to identify potential research topics. In terms of good or bad research questions, I like just to borrow a common statement from a lot of faculty members around the world. What is a good dissertation? A good dissertation is the one that gets completed. But I want to emphasize that this is a long haul, at least 4 years. If you can identify something that can drive you, can motivate you up and down through all the ups and downs, that would be ideal. But not all applicants will come in when they apply with the specific ready to share with the review committee. But I would strongly encourage all the applicants to reflect upon your professional experience. There are some OnlineID students who propose research topics based on their personal interest. Most of the OnlineID students right now in the program, their studies will have applicable values in their current professional context.
And I did get a link shared in the chat there to the dissertation database.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions for our non-degree or EDM, or most of you are interested in the online EDD? Again, I will encourage you to reach out to me again if you have further questions. Let me type my email in the chat box. The best way to reach me will be email. If you have additional questions or inquiries, please feel free. The online EDD application deadline, I believe, will be next April. So you still have some time. But if you're interested in the PhD program, then the due date will be the December of this year. General rule of thumb, if I can share with you, when you write up your statement of purpose, don't be frugal in terms of the word count. Use as much space as you need to articulate your ideas. Writing samples also help a lot, although that's not required. What else would I share? Oh, this is all based on the application review experience I had. Please identify referees, your letters of recommendation writers based on their willingness to help you succeed. We have had some cases. I don't think the recommenders are the best choices for the applicants. And don't be shy. If they promise to write letters for you, feel free to remind them. A lot of because I think for the online EDD applications, it's a very busy time for our staff and for the faculty to go through the application. So if you can gather your materials, making sure that they are there to support you, that's important. Online programs are very accessible. I think that's the one reason for us to begin this initiative early on. We wanted to open up these opportunities for people around the world. We are very fortunate to serve students from many different time zones. And we also learn how to accommodate different needs, very diverse needs from students' population, also very diverse by every aspect. I have students from Germany, from Japan, from China, from Australia. The synchronous session coordination is always interesting to figure out, but recordings also are available. I forgot what I meant to say, but you'll come to me. I have 2 minutes left. If you don't have any questions, I want to thank Travis, first of all, to organize this session. And I want to thank all of you to be here, to hear me talk for almost an hour. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And no matter where you are, be safe and stay healthy.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank
There will
you.
be a
Thank
recording
you
will get
so
sent
much.
out a recording will get sent out tomorrow, and also in that email will be a short survey that you can give us feedback on the session tonight. So thank you all for attending. Be well.
Thank you.
Take care.